you're going to stay on Nick, your eye line. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So why don't you give us a real background on Darren Chapman, where you grew up, and just tell us whatever you want to about your background.
Yeah. So a little background on Darren Chapman. I've grew up in South Central Los Angeles. Grew up with some family that loved gardening in the backyard. My grandfather was amazing, the way that he grew his greens, and I just remember being a young kid digging into the avocados and peaches and plums. It was an amazing backyard. It just seemed like, even though it was the middle of Los Angeles, California, seemed like the skies were always so blue, and I was just always so full of energy as well. With that being said, it was also the advent in a neighborhood that was the beginning of a lot of the gang banging in America. So with all of the beautiful stuff that we had to eat, we also had some other challenges in our community.
And so how does your life experience informed founding TigerMountain Foundation? And then can you talk a little bit about TigerMountain Foundation?
Yeah, so my life experiences around how I came to be a founder for TigerMountain Foundation, and even happened to be part of what we're doing here at Spaces of Opportunity, is that as I saw all this different violence and all of the different drugs and all of the other different trappings, the unhealthy food choices in our community, we started almost 14 plus years ago doing a small community garden in our neighborhood. And from that community garden, we realized that people came from across the street. It was very inclusionary, so we had Latino, Caucasian students coming in. So that first effort did exactly what we hoped it would do, which is bring people together in a conversation. At that time, we didn't know what that conversation was ultimately going to be about, but we did know that we needed to come together in a better form, and a garden was the first step.
But that was pre-GOT, so then that led into building Garden of Tomorrow.
Yep. So yeah, that was before. So we started this concept before we started our Garden of Tomorrow, which has been around since 2008. That first garden was built in 2007. And so, but it begat a bigger project, Garden of Tomorrow. Garden of Tomorrow actually spawned other gardens over at the community centers and through the thoroughfares. And now, a quick from there to here, we've actually become consultants for how to build this type of best practice in your community.
So what I've seen there, and just correct me if I'm wrong here, so like you were saying earlier, it's you don't know what the conversation is, but I saw immediately when I went to Garden of Tomorrow's connectivity, people returning to be part of something again, something positive, and you help manifest all of that. Is that fair? Is that
it's fair, and then I could kind of pat myself on the chest, man, and kind of posture. The biggest thing that's fair about that is the fact that I was part of assisting to build something, and then I had wonderful other people come into this conversation, from mentors to educators to other different types of instructors. Some of the language I didn't even know from the exactness of the scientific way of describing it, and then taking that scientific way of describing it and actually bringing it back to folks in the terms that we could understand in our community to make it even interesting to our community. Felt great, because it wasn't just Darren Chapman doing that. Once again, it started incorporating folks from all socioeconomic, all other types of walks of life and demographic. That was huge. So yeah, I mean, I'm fortunate. I was part of the beginning of something that is ultimately now a much bigger picture than myself.
And so you went from your life experience into founding TigerMountain Foundation, and then into the Garden of Tomorrow. And that's basically where I got to know you, where I met you roughly about 10 years ago. And then we were starting this project here.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about the beginning stages of what you remember of coming together with different groups that then founded Spaces of Opportunity?
Yeah, so the one thing that I remember so very vividly back then, 10 years ago, in 10 plus years ago, in our first thought processes, is that we as an organization, Tiger Mountain Foundation, I think had a really great idea on how to include the local community. We got tremendous buy-in from that. However, the deficit to that was that we were also not actually hitting on all cylinders as far as our accounting, as far as our ability to reach out and bring others into our conversation. And so we needed to really think that through. Personally, back then, as much as I thought about, man, this could be a really great opportunity for us to reach out to other organizations, and they will just come right in because it's a really great idea and everyone can play a part of it. Everyone can have a sense of place in it. It didn't happen that way. And so I feel great that that evolution has brought myself to spaces of opportunity where we now are performing those different very crucial tasks to growing an organization, a nonprofit organization, and making that nonprofit organization beneficial to a whole wide range and array of people.
So the way that I see this project here, Space of Opportunity, that's building a community food system. And a lot of times people will focus on the food and the soil or whatever kind of surface level stuff that may be. I think without your knowledge and role that you played in the inclusivity of this project, it wouldn't have even gotten close to this point. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of that in terms of building some system level projects?
Well, yeah, I can talk about the importance of that. The importance of me being a part of this project and it actually taking on its own evolution from a start point of almost 5 plus 6 years ago, shared use conversations and how we could use those shared use conversations and bringing in other nonprofits, other families, hyper local to actual metro conversations. One of the things that happened in this road to Spaces of Opportunity is I got a chance to work with a guy that I started recruiting almost 11 years ago, a guy by the name of Nicolas De La Fuente. And when I was able to actually have a conversation with Nick on how he wanted to proceed, and you talked about being a part of Spaces of Opportunity, I could not wait, man. When I signed the contract, it didn't have necessarily a denomination. I was like, hey, Nick, isn't that going to cost me money to be a part of this? But I couldn't wait, man. It's a priceless conversation. You need people, man, that are very passionate about the land, very passionate about their environment, and very passionate about the people, man, who should be a part of these conversations. And you were all of that. And so that encouraged me and really spawned me to actually want to be a part of Spaces of Opportunity. So I appreciate that.
I appreciate you. So can you tell us a little bit about what it is exactly you do at Spaces of Opportunity?
Yeah, so let's see, what don't I do at Spaces of Opportunity?
Some stuff that maybe wouldn't be, let's get into the deep stuff.
Yeah, okay. So one of the things that I do at Spaces of Opportunity that I'm super proud of is I work with some of the different people in the community that might need assistance in other different areas of their life. So I love that aspect of my work. I'm always out trying to plant the seed of what we do and why it's very important in our community. So I'm definitely always trying to not only connect us to power, connect us to organizations, schools, other different people that could benefit from a very healthy conversation. And the root of that conversation happening from Spaces of Opportunity is tremendous. However, that conversation means absolutely nothing to me if I can't really perform what I feel is my niche with Spaces of Opportunity, and that is to be a voice of the community that I come from, which is smack dab in the middle of where Spaces of Opportunity is located. So being a part of that voice, being able to be of assistance with resources and other referrals with some of the other different beautiful folks who are part of our conversation, bringing their resources to some of our folks is a role that I cherish at Spaces of Opportunity.
I love it. Within that same thread, how do you foresee the farmers market, if we do our due diligence, can be a benefit to the local community?
I think our due diligence with our farmers markets really is going to be a matter of, okay, we are at this point. How do we get this farmers market so that it becomes an accelerator for the spaces, the whole spaces of opportunity, not just for TigerMountain Foundation, not just for Orchard Community Learning Center or Unlimited Potential, but the whole operational. We somehow get that generated, put that back into this whole conversation. Now we're doing true community building. We're doing true workforce and economic development. Because what happens when you do it that way, everyone's a part of the conversation. And so people are trying to figure out what is their role in this bigger conversation. So the farmers market has to be very indicative of that whole total conversation. We're on the right track. We definitely want to generate some stimulus for our farmers markets so that we can get that marketing and strategy together as a total team and then move forward with that total team effort.
Cool. And then here with this, part of the goal that I have with this video is to help raise money for this cool storage here. So how will that help your operation and the overall project's operation to have the ability to store and sell on site?
Yeah, so to have the ability to store and sell on site is tremendous for us. So right now we're prepping for our farmers markets this weekend, our CSA baskets. We're doing that almost 2.5 miles away. We could actually do that with our produce on the land, put it right here in the cool storage, which is just amazing. So that cool storage will be super beneficial to an organization like us that does community garden work and incubator farm work on the land because it makes it an accessible place for our nutritious produce to bring right here to the local community and or to take to the hyper-local and metro community.
So I would say collaborations are hard. That's been my experience with it, but they're very important. And just working through it. What have you learned about this being a collaborative project? And what do you think makes this project unique?
So I think what makes this project unique is the dream aspect. You know, everyone dreams and maybe envisions of something very different than maybe their present. That's what a dream is. A dream is something that is a little bit different than your actual present existence. And so I feel what makes this project tremendous is we are actually literally bringing our dream to reality. We're living the dream, and that's fantastic. So part of what I've always envisioned 14 years ago at TigerMountain Foundation is that we would be in a bigger, stronger conversation with human beings, other organizations and other special people that could make this conversation stronger and more impacting to our community. And so that's what's so incredibly unique because we're here now.
And if I didn't touch on anything, is there anything that you want to share with the world through this video?
Yeah, I want to share with the world. I've heard certain athletes actually describe their
Let's get that front hold for him.
Okay, cool. Go for it. Sorry about that.
That's not a problem. Hussein, that's my man, baby.
Grit on his face.
Yeah, I'm good, man. Thank you for the onions and the garlic. We used the onions this weekend. Man, really good. Thank you, sir. Right on.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off.
Not a problem.
Anything that you would want to share that I missed, you know, because it's going to be out there, the video we can use for different purposes. What would you like to share with the world about this project or what you're doing, or anything that I didn't cover here?
Yeah. One of the things that I'd like to share is a lot of times people will describe their experience in an analogy, right, or simile, like it's like going up Hamburger Hill. And then some of the distractors, right, or detractors from that will say, man, are you actually equating your challenge, man, to being in a military where we are actually fighting a battle against the aggressor? And I'm saying, hell yeah, we're doing that because we are fighting a battle. Matter of fact, it's been a war, and some of the battles we don't win. And we've lost so many that the divide has grown tremendously great in the disparity that actually is the boot on the back of the neck of not only myself on occasion, but our community. So yes, I've had to fight that tremendously. It's been battle after battle. It's a long war. It's a marathon, and there's unfortunately a lot of casualties. Yes, I've bled through this. I've often wondered about my next day on occasion through this, because you have just formidable obstacles in front of you. And so what I'd love to say is, yes, this is a battle. I'm fortunate to be in it. This is the battle that I've chose. I prefer to be in this war. It's a beautiful war, right? It's unfortunately worth, my sacrifice, whatever that might be. And so I've bled for it. I've shed a tear for it. I've got tremendous hugs from it, and priceless amounts of love from it. So I appreciate being a part of this battle.
Beautiful. It's like Talib Kweli, life is a beautiful struggle.
Man, all day. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Life is a beautiful struggle. Yep.
Anything else you wanted? Because I got.
Man, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm good, man. That's part of that contract that I first signed. I'm like, hey, man, did that just go past that small print?
We're just
Oh.
going to do a portrait